Welcome to the India Fintech Diaries, the only podcast focused exclusively on the Indian fintech market. I'm Elroy.
And I'm Hemant. In each episode, we dive into the latest trends, ideas, innovations, business models, and personalities that are shaping India's fintech landscape.
We also invite amazing guests who are innovators and industry players that are driving the change that is helping make financial services more modern, innovative, and inclusive in India. Come join us as we explore the changing landscape of fintech in India.
Welcome back to India Fintech Diaries, the show where we discuss all things India Fintech. I'm your host, Hemant.
And I'm your host, Elroy. In our last episode, we introduced you to the world of ONDC, and in this episode, we will delve deeper into this fascinating realm. Joining us as a guide on this exploration into the world of ONDC is Sanjeev Kumar, co-founder, executive director, and CEO at Spice Money. Welcome to India Fintech Diaries, Sanjeev.
Thank you so much, Elroy.
Sanjeev, you've had a very interesting career across industries that have included insurance and banking before you took on your current role at Spice Money. Talk to us a little bit about yourself and your journey to where you are today.
Sure. It's a pleasure to be here. I have a career of now 23 years of experience, total experience. Engineer by degree, passed out from IIT Banaras. My first job was at Infosys Technologies as a software engineer. And
Okay.
Fortunately, what happened was when I was working on a client project that was for an insurance company, which is going to go live, the first private insurance company going to go live in India. This is way back in 2001.
Yeah.
And this new industry actually fascinated me because I saw a very new sunrise industry coming up in India. And as luck and destiny would have it, I got absorbed in that insurance company, and I moved from a software engineer to a insurance professional. So worked in
Interesting.
insurance companies for about few years before, after which again had the opportunity to move to Yes Bank. Again, Yes Bank starting operations way back in 2004 when the office was also not ready, so pretty much of the founding team member. That again excited me. A new bank was one of the few, you don't get a banking license so quickly in
Yeah.
this country. And Yes Bank and Kotak were the two organizations that got a banking license at that point of time. So got the opportunity to move into Yes Bank, and been there, was there for about 12 years, where a lot of banking that I know today is what I learned there. Moved to Geo Financial Services for the next 3 years, after which I moved to Spice Money. I've been here for 3 years now. It's been an incredible journey, very, very exciting, satisfying, gratifying. And yes, we are on a mission here at Spice Money, Elroy.
That's very interesting, Sanjeev. It looks like, looking back at your career, right? Looks like a lot of cases you've actually been part of many founding and building journeys there. So it'll be also help if you could give our listeners a quick introduction to Spice Money. What's its focus been so far? How it's actually helping transform rural India, and how it's looking to build the future of banking for rural India.
Elroy, I also believe that, and coincident that when I
Yeah.
look back at my own career and life, a lot of pieces of my life is just converging to what we're trying to do at Spice Money. So, I was born in a village in rural India, which is in North Bihar.
Right.
So there is, the whole infrastructure problems of rural India, something that I've lived in my life. In my experience with different organizations, like you said, I've always worked in startup organizations primarily, and that fascinated me because I call myself a professional entrepreneur. That's a space that I associate myself well with, something that excites me. So what's happened at Spice Money when I got this opportunity, and we've been here now 3 years. I don't, for some reason, I've seen a lot of my own life as converging, personal and professional, to the
Okay.
opportunity that we're trying to do at Spice Me. And if I can then articulate what we're trying to do here, is very simply what's happened in the last 6 7 years. I don't know if if you were to reflect back, there is lot of things that have happened in the last 6 7 years at an infrastructure level, which has given us an opportunity to solve for the problem of access in rural
That's
India.
right.
And let me elaborate what happened. So if you look at the last 6 years, obviously there is obviously Geo coming in, which made data by accessible, right? Voice free. So there is
Yeah.
infrastructure now available at every remote corner of this country. There is the jam trinity that happens. There are public goods like India Stack that comes in this
Yeah.
country. Right? Now all of this has enabled organizations like us primarily to say that you know what, there was a problem of access in rural India even earlier, but I'm not so sure if we could solve it before, but now using technology, it is possible. So what happened is we put a consumer in the center of rural India, and I said, what are the use cases? So we listed on all the use cases for rural consumer, and then we bucketed them under about 10 to 12 buckets. So let's say he needs banking, he needs
Right.
payments, he needs savings, he needs insurance, credit, collections, commerce, travel, education, healthcare. There are about 10 to 12 big services and use cases that he needs. And we said that today, using technology, if I can bring all those services onto a platform, and if I'm able to build a network of entrepreneurs at every block and gram panchayat and village level, then why does a rural consumer have to step out of the village?
Yeah.
Right? Now,
Right.
this is the larger piece that we are chasing. Now, rural India obviously not as digitally literate as urban India. So there is this 1 billion population who needs assistance. They're not
Right.
as tech savvy and like us today. So what we've done is we started with basic use cases over the last 2 3 years of saying, as a consumer, you want to withdraw money from your account.
Right.
Earlier, you would have to walk 25 kilometers to a bank branch, which was very far away. Not
Right.
sure if the bank branch would entertain you because of the rush in their branch. Is there an ATM nearby? Answer is no. Now I'm saying you don't know. You don't have to go anywhere. Just come to a Spice Money merchant. So we've onboarded merchants at every district, block, and village level who's there at your doorstep. He's a local merchant who's now become a Spice Money entrepreneur. We call him a Spice Money Adhikari. We've given him an app.
Right.
The consumer comes to him and says, "Hey, listen, I want to withdraw 2,000 rupees." He gives his details, he gives his Aadhaar number, he puts his biometric, he takes 2,000 rupees and he goes home. The consumer says, I want to transfer money to my father, my son. He comes here and he says, can you transfer this money into this account? He gives the person cash, the money gets transferred. He says, now today in rural India, every house has an electricity connection. There is an LPG cylinder, there is a Tata Sky DTH. It's all there. Where do you have to pay bills? Don't go anywhere. Come to the Spice Money entrepreneur and say, listen, can I pay these bills? Answers yes. There are people who says there are so many people who've taken loans, the EMI. They have to go
Yeah.
to deposit EMI to buy. He says, don't have to go there. Come here. We've onboarded enterprises. They come to our at the Spice Money entrepreneur shop and they say, listen, I want to deposit this as my EMI. They deposit. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to bring all those services onto a platform. There is an entrepreneur who's a local merchant over there who's onboarded as a Spice Money Adhikari. He provides assistance because consumers need assistance. They need handholding. Consumer comes here and avails these services. He wants to book a ticket. He books it there. All these services are being delivered at the doorstep. This is something that we've been able to do. And obviously, we started with basic banking, basic payments, travel, collections. Now we're getting into banking, we're getting into credit, we're going to commerce, we're going to get into other services. So that's the suite that we're trying to offer onto a platform and build this network of entrepreneurs across every district, block, village. Today, we have 1.2 million Spice Money entrepreneurs across 6,500 blocks of this country. We cover 2.26 lakh villages and we service 2.5 crore consumers every month on our platform. This network services, when I say this network services 2.5 crore consumers every month on a platform on the Spice Money network at every remotest corner of this country.
Very interesting. So, Sanjeev, before we step into the topic for today, which is ONDC, I would just like to say how you put your journey into Spice Money is pretty beautiful in the terms that it is said that a person is the sum total of his experiences and of the experience of the people who came before that person. And if you have found a place where your vocation and your value system and purpose have come together, that's the best thing that can happen for a professional in once he has gone through a certain part of his professional life. So that's absolutely amazing. Now, coming, Sanjeev, to the topic for the day, in October 2022, Spice Money announced that it was coming on board as buyer app onto the ONDC network. Now, help us understand how this piece fits into the overall puzzle or the set of what Spice Money is trying to do, and what is the size of the opportunity here.
Sure, Hemant. So if you extend the conversation that I was doing right now, the fact that
Mm-hmm.
we used the public good of India stack, right? We were able to democratize payments, banking, right, in rural India,
Yep.
right? That's what we've done, and we built this
Right.
large network. on the back of that, because we used a public good, which is the India stack. We used eKYC, Aadhaar, all of that, the same India stack we've used. Now, like I said, there is another use case and there is another public stack which is being created, and it fits well with us. And let me articulate how does it fit. So, like I told you, is commerce and opportunity one of the use case in rural India? Answer is it is. Now, what is the and what is it that we see with ONDC, and what is that we're trying to do? So we see three large opportunities, and we're going to work on all three of them. We've already started to work on all three of them, and let me articulate that. The first, which we went live immediately, was become a buyer app, and because ONDC was launching, and we were very keen to start because, like I said, it's very adjacent to our business model for solving the same problem of lack of access of commerce, of goods, right, of quality goods, of a variety of goods, all of that at better pricing. So the first use case is become a buyer app. Obviously, while we started, and ONDC is also a journey of going pilot in certain locations, and it'll keep evolving. The opportunity that we are seeing is that, imagine the same network of 1.2 million, and we are obviously going to increase this network. So if I were to take this network to an X million more, there is rural consumers. There's about 900 million, 90 crore of Indians who stay in these blocks and villages. They need assistance. They want to buy something. They come to this person and say, "Hey, listen, can I buy? I want to buy this good." This person, on an assisted manner, orders for him that good, and it gets delivered there. So, example, you want to buy a TV at village level.
Yeah.
This person can order right from here. The person gets delivered here, for example, from any of the supplier in this country. So it's called assisted commerce. That's one opportunity. However, personally, if you ask me, Hemant, what I'm more interested is in the second and third opportunity, and I don't say this because if I want to prioritize or I want to rank them. It's just from the opportunity that we are seeing in rural India. Is the second opportunity what we call is the B2B opportunity. The
Right.
B2B and selling is the opportunity that we are. And as I speak with you, considering Hemant, we've already started the CUG and we're going with live on the ONDC protocol this weekend itself, and we're going to announce that next week. And I'll tell you what we are doing, what we've done there. Adhikari is also a merchant.
Right.
Now, let me explain let me give you an example. Let's say he is in the business of selling electronics, mobile accessory. Okay. So what does he sell? Suppose he's selling a headphone. Now, where does he go and buy that headphone? What does he do? He takes his bicycle or motorbike, and every week he goes to a distributor who's in a district headquarters, and he buys from him. And he comes back and he sells that in his block or in his village. What does the distributor do? The distributor sitting at a district headquarters goes to a bigger city distributor. The bigger city goes to a capital city, state capital, and the state capital goes to a Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Calcutta's.
Right.
We are saying, listen, you don't have to go anywhere. What if I onboard you as a buyer? Now, here is the next opportunity, the B2B buyer. So I give you a platform where I'm going to onboard sellers sitting directly in Delhi's and the Bombays of the world. Okay. And from here, you want to order mobile access, you want to order earphone, you've got a large plethora of options here. You've got far better pricing. You order here, and this will get delivered at your doorstep. So suddenly, what you've solved is this, again, same of lack of access of goods for him to sell, to be delivered at his doorstep. Else, he was limited because of inventory, because the same distributor, whatever inventory he had, whatever choices he had, whatever prices he was to give, he had no option but to buy from here, right? So you've cut all these layers. Now imagine and this is going live on ONDC protocol, which means all sellers that will come onboarded in this country, either through us or anybody who's onboarding sellers. Person sitting in that block, because I've onboarding him as a B2B buyer, he gets this whole world of options now, right? This is a huge opportunity in rural India. It is very adjacent to my same Adhikari as a merchant, but there are merchants around the Adhikari. Them also we want to onboard. So imagine he could be selling shoes, he could be selling cloth, he could be selling anything. Now you can onboard all those merchants onto this platform, and you've got suppliers on the other side sitting in the Delhis of the world or the Bombays of the world, or these are large OEMs. It could be all of them. This is the second and most on in my mind my favorite, but this is the biggest opportunity that we see in rural India that we want to win. And
Right.
this is nothing but you're democratizing commerce. Imagine if tomorrow, if I'm able to onboard my 1.2 million entrepreneurs, 1.2 million merchants onto this platform and say, listen now, please start ordering from here. What have you done? You've actually democratized commerce to these local stores who are now coming on a digital platform to order. Now, it's very powerful because in my mind, this is just not about commerce. It's also, you've got payments under rail here. You've got embedded finance. There's credit opportunity that you're exposing these merchants for now, right? So it's got a huge offshoot in terms of business. So this is the second. The third, again, very, very beautiful opportunity that we believe we want to win here is there's a lot of local manufacturing that happens in this country. So there's a lot of local unique manufacturing that happens in the districts of Orissa, which probably you and I sitting in Bombay might not know
Right.
or might not have access to. And that person, because he's a small manufacturer, he can only sell it to the distribution network that he probably lives in. Now, what if and this is the same MSME word, so I'm just using a very simple jargon to explain this. What if I onboard that same person as a seller
Okay.
on my platform and say, hey, listen, you're building some artifacts here. Let me onboard you as a seller. You put your pieces, that your inventory onto this. So he's a seller now on the platform, which is ONDC enabled. And now all the buyers, it could be a Paytm buyer, it could be the PhonePe buyer, it could be a SpicePay buyer, it could be anyone who's a buyer on this platform is now has access to this person sitting in some corner of the world. So you on one side, you automatically in one shot, you expose this manufacturer to the entire world, right? So these are
Yeah.
the big opportunities that we are chasing. The second and third, in my mind, since we are in rural India, we are the largest network in rural India. We want to build it. It just comes very adjacent to what we are doing, Hemant and Elroy, and this is why we are very very excited about this.
Sanjeev, that's actually very fascinating. I'm just curious, what's the traction you've been seeing so far? I know it's very early days for NDC. And also, maybe if you could also highlight some of the biggest challenges you've faced while rolling this out.
So, Elroy, right now, to be very honest, what we're trying to do this in phases because again, we are also trying to go through our own
Right.
learning curve here. So, what we've done as I speak with you, we've onboarded first 200 merchants, 200 of our
Okay.
spice merchants onto this platform of B2B buying. We've onboarded 7 sellers,
Okay.
right? And we've exposed about 425 SKUs to these
Okay.
guys. And obviously all of them have started ordering now. Okay, we've got about 15% of them are already into the repeat order. It's already happening
Yeah.
now, right? But what we wanted to test here, primarily Hemant and Roy, was the ability for them to discover the product. Does the product make sense to them? Order, the logistics of the product reaching them on time,
Right.
the whole process management of the inventory being of that quality. Is there any return, any care customer query that we need to solve? That whole cycle is what we've been testing, and so that's the first CUG, as I call it, is what is being rolled out. We
Right.
now and it's working well. Obviously there are very nice on ground feedback that's coming in, that can I have this product, can I have this pricing, all of that now is coming from the market, and that's what we are going back to the seller and say, hey, listen, the market is asking for these products. So
Right.
now we're going to marry the demand, we're trying with the supply, right? Now that's another interesting part. In the phase one that we want to do in the next 3 to 6 months, and we've put a timeline of 6 months, no later than 6 months, is we are going to onboard about 2,500 merchants across 6 districts
Right.
on this platform. So we want to take it from 200 to a 2,500 merchants, and we want to then test this whole journey of how it is scaling up, make a playbook out of it, and then I want to open this up to my entire network of 1.2 million and more than that. Then.
That's quite interesting. And then from a challenges perspective, actually, I have two questions, Sanjeev, right? First is, are you seeing any particular preferences for any particular category in the rollout that you've done so far?
So Elroy, actually, this is another interesting point because we started only with electronics as a category.
Right.
So what we did is, obviously we couldn't launch all of them. So what we've done is, again, we started with electronics. So that's the first category we've taken, and hence our experience over there is not about our learning is again the inventory and the price point. I mean, you need to marry
Right.
the demand and from the both sides, the demand and supply,
Right.
and actually that is what we are trying to do with these sellers. Else, I think because it's a very close user group that we are working on right now, it's working well. Hello, I'm not seeing any such alarming, let's say, reactions which which needs to be bothered. I think it's a pretty much the way you would launch any new product and go through your set of teething problems or challenges and just operationalize it better.
And I think the second question I had from a challenges perspective, typically when you think of rural India, right, the first challenge that typically comes to mind is logistics. So just curious about what your entire experience there has been.
So Eloy, what we did, because again it was a CUG and the first user, so we've onboarded sellers who already have logistics enabled
Okay.
as part.
Okay.
So and same reason like you said, Eloy, because we want to move this step by step, right?
Right.
So right now the whole logistics is integrated with the seller
Okay.
in the journey.
So I'm assuming that when you start a much wider rollout, right, you'll probably then start trying to leverage some of the logistic players that have also plugged into NDC at that point.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we've already started conversations, but we are trying to just hold back on opening it up all at one shot, because one is obviously we want to experience this, we want to see the network, we want to understand what the demand is. And then once you're able to marry that, I think, like you said, can I open it across and then can I open it to all the. Then,
Right.
then the real essence of ONDC comes into play when you unbundle everything.
Right. And I think the other question I had was, what does the revenue model look like for something like this? Because this is fairly unique in terms of how the entire e-commerce stack is built, right? I'm just curious from a buyer apps perspective, what would be the revenue model looking like?
So as of now, obviously the way ONDC has been designed, it gives you the freedom, right?
Yeah.
It gives everybody, it gives the buyer app the freedom to charge, and it gives the seller app the freedom to charge.
Right.
Here, if you notice, as of now, we're going to play the B2B buyer app opportunity. We're also onboarding sellers. So as
Right.
of now, again, which part of the value chain that you want to command is where you can earn income. So for example, we can onboard buyers and take a percentage from there, right?
Yeah.
Or we can onboard and sellers and say, listen, we not charge from the buyers, we'll only charge from you because you're a
Right.
seller, a percentage. So again, it's completely on the buyer and the seller on how they want to decide. But as of now, the way we are trying to do it, we're charging from the sellers. But obviously, when this network opens up and you have buyers on an open platform and not all the sellers that we would have onboarded, there'll be everyone and anybody who's on ONDC.
Yeah.
We will also look at how can I, if it makes sense, could I be charging a certain percent of transaction fee at a buyer level? That's the way we are thinking.
Interesting.
But early days, Elon
Yeah.
and Hemant, we want to see
It
how
is.
it.
It is quite early days.
But this is the way we're thinking at least.
Finally, Sanjeev, what do you think the future looks like for NDC and in particular for the three opportunities that you highlighted? What's immediately on the roadmap? I know you talked about some of the items that you have immediately on the roadmap. And where do you see this going over the next 5 years?
No, no. So I'm very bullish on this, Elroy. I'm very bullish because I'm just being in rural India, we've seen this statement as a genuine opportunity, and I'm just saying, oh,
Right.
problems. Like I told you, this whole network of local merchants in rural India who need inventory. So I'll tell you, for example, I don't know if you know, Elroy.
Yeah.
Uh, we like these, I want to give an analogy of rural India because I'm not so sure people understand how rural India is changing and how soon it has changed. What is driving change in rural India? Something it's very important for us to pause and reflect. Why is there so much of a change? The person who's driving this change is the youth in rural India. There is that
Yeah.
young boy or a girl in every house who's driving the change. I mean, I fundamentally call him the CTO of. There's a CTO in every house in rural India, right? This
Yeah.
person is the digital savvy person. He is wanting to explore all of this. He is wanting to become an entrepreneur. Okay, so his father could be a kirana store, but you know what? He doesn't just want to do only kirana. He wants to do something more. Now, who is this? Is this young boy or girl? This is driving change. So, coming back to what you said is, where is the opposite? This is the opposite. To, for example, give you, and hence this youth is also aspirational. You and I wear smartwatches here in Mumbai and Delhi, and I'm not so sure if people know, but huge demand. There is a huge demand of smartwatch in rural India. Now they might not be able to afford an Apple smartwatch, but they want a smartwatch.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Question is, and there is enough data points I can tell you to prove this. And there is so today that demand is so huge. Question is, that's where I see this other because I'm seeing the demand. Now, if I'm able to marry the supply with the demand because I'm there, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what ONDC allows me to do. So imagine the opportunity that we are seeing, and then and I say this again and again that while everybody sees this as a commerce opportunity, in my mind it is a commerce with an embedded finance opportunity. Because imagine this entire network of entrepreneurs now have also formalized their whole payments, become digital. And hence,
Yeah.
when you formalize payments, you've also formalized a credit opportunity.
Yep.
So imagine what it is exposing to. So if I were to call it Hemant and Elroy, we're looking at an opportunity. We want to create a 10 million entrepreneurs in the next 5 years in rural India who would be on this platform. That's our goal, Hemant and Elroy.
That's amazing, Sanjeev. An amazing goal to have about 10 million entrepreneurs from the rural India. And I hope the ONDC team, which is working tirelessly on this, supported by inspired companies like yours, can help us achieve where we are going. Sanjeev, so if our, and this is very exciting, so if our listeners are also excited and they want to reach out to you or Spice Money and want to get in touch with you to know more, what would be the best way to do that?
So no, more than happy. I can share credentials later on about my corporate development team,
Sure.
and I would request anybody. I mean, and more of the suppliers. So I keep saying, and I keep saying with the team. I was speaking with Koshi last evening, and I was telling him that Koshi, you come across any supplier who wants to reach rural India, please tell him to get in touch with us.
Yeah, I, like actually because you brought up Koshi, say hi to him when you meet him next. We used to work together in his previous avatar, in his previous form. So I'm very happy that a person that I know and you are working together towards this goal. And also, once you reach out to us with the details, we'll include those details in our show notes, so our listeners can use that, and especially the sellers, and reach out to you and make this journey or accelerate this journey even more. So thanks once again, Sanjeev, for coming on the show and spending some time with us.
Thank you so much, Hemant and Roy. Lovely chatting and sharing what we're trying to do. It's not, I mean, we as a small organization, it's an ambitious task, but we're very, very excited about what we're doing. And I'm not so sure if the picture of this understands, but what the most gratifying feeling in all of this is the impact that we're doing in rural India. It's about empowering rural India. It's creating entrepreneurship in rural India, and there is so much of gratification that we get when you go out to a village, to a block from, and when you meet these adhikaris or consumers and say, so thank you so much. There are elderly people in saying that, the fact that there is a spice here now, I don't have to walk miles to get my pension.
Completely, I cannot agree more. The future of the country is being formed in the rural side of the country, and it is amazing, sort of amazing work that you are doing in the space. So thanks once again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elroy.
That's it from India FinTech Diaries for this week. Do log on to our website, indiafintechdiaries.com, for exclusive content. We also cover fintech deep dives in our Substack newsletter, so do subscribe. Until next time, again, mask on and stay safe.